DND number 10, Circle of Life in Jesus' Name, Chapter 6, Part 2. Sorry the last time it ended so abruptly. We had a little problem I had to take care of. So here we are. They're at dinner. Funny you should say that, Cam said, because Jeffy and I were just thinking about doing exactly that. Really? Everyone said at the same time. Jeffy smiled. Yes, I think we're ready to tell. But Mark and Joey and Breeze and Bella aren't here, Shelley said. And neither are Jojo and Logan. After all, this is our cousin we're talking about, young Eric put in. Well, we can FaceTime real quick, Taylor said. Okay then, Jeffy said. Everyone FaceTime whoever you want to hear the news and let me know when you're ready. Phones were pulled, and in about 5 minutes, all the people mentioned and more were on the phone. Taylor had the Tanners on her phone. Shelley had Angel and Jason. Eric had Justin and Lori. Young Eric had Jojo and Logan. And Cam had Jeff and Mickey, who promised to reveal their own baby's gender while everyone was on the call. Jeffy and Kimmy and Jensen on her phone had Jensen on her phone, who also said that they would reveal their baby's gender. And Bree and Joey and Breeze and Ricky had Mark and Bella. No. And Bree had Joey and Breeze, and Ricky had Mark and Bella. Okay, here we go, Jeffy said. She turned to her husband. Cam, you do the honors. Cam smiled broadly. Jeffy and I, we're going to have a boy. The place erupted. When everyone calmed down, Cam held his phone up. Okay, everyone, now Jeff and Mickey have an announcement. Go ahead, Jeff. Jeff smiled. Hey, everyone there and on the other calls. Mickey, you want to say it? No, you go ahead. Okay, then. Finally, Mickey and I are going to have a girl. The place erupted again. It took a while for everyone to calm down. Wait, everybody, Jeffy said. I have Kimmy here, and she's going to tell us what they're going to have. Go ahead, Kimmy. Hey, everyone. I guess I'll have my man give you the news, too. Jensen put his face in front of the camera. We're going to have, he paused dramatically, a boy. More cheers and applause. Okay, Jeffy said, I guess that's it. No, wait, Taylor said. Guess what? We have 2 people over at the Tanner's house who are going to go ahead and tell us their good news. She held her phone up high. Hey, everyone, Lizzie Tanner said. Keegan, you do the honors. Keegan put his face next to Lizzie. Well, some of you already know, Lizzie and I are having twins, and they are not identical, and we are having 1 girl and 1 boy. The place erupted again, and Gabe got on the phone. I'm going to have another brother. What do you mean another? Keegan asked. Well, I already have Jake, Jojo, Logan, and Eric, but now I'll have a younger brother. Now I just got to figure out a way to stay close to him. Ow! And my new sister, he said, rubbing the top of his head. That hurt, Rose. Everyone laughed. And now we have one more announcement, Gabe said, handing his phone over to Lisa Stewart. Hey, everyone. So, you probably all know that it's been a difficult pregnancy for me. I'm 46 years old. I've been worried that there might be something wrong with the baby, like Down syndrome or something. And I've been so sick. Well, 6 weeks ago, we found out that there is something else that happens when the mother is older. When the ovaries age, they are more likely to release more than 1 egg each month. So, that happened. Everyone gasped. Yes, God has blessed this old woman and this older man with twins. Isn't it crazy that Lizzie and I are both going to have twins? And now I'll turn it over to Chaz to deliver the rest of the news. Chaz smiled into the phone camera. Hey, everyone. My news is also similar to Keegan's because the twins are fraternal, and we also have a boy and a girl. A cheer went up again. This time women were crying. Even the men present seemed emotional. And young Eric looked around. He knew exactly what was happening. He glanced at his grandfather, who was smiling, his eyes looking heavenward. They were all being filled with the Holy Spirit, telling them that this was all part of God's plan. Eric, his grandfather said softly, share your feelings with the group, please. Young Eric's mouth opened in surprise. His grandfather nodded at him. Eric cleared his throat. I feel the Holy Spirit strong right now. I'm pretty sure we all do. All of these babies coming into the world, including these 4, maybe 5 new Kinos, if we can find the other one. They're all coming here for a reason. They're all God's warriors being sent here for a purpose, for a grand calling. It almost feels like a grand finale. I'm really excited to see what is about to take place. Eric nodded. Ricky also nodded. Well said, son. Young Eric looked down at Jordan, who also seemed quite taken with all of the news, and she smiled up at him. He took her hand and squeezed it. He had a feeling that Jordan was also part of God's plan, and he hoped that meant she would remain in his life. New scene. Young Eric pulled into the school parking lot and right up next to Jordan's car. Again, he just sat there a moment, mostly because he didn't want to say goodbye. He glanced out the window at her car. How's the car running? He asked. Jordan smiled. Better than ever. Your guys are good. And the check engine light is off. He smiled. How long had it been on? She laughed. A long time. Maybe even a year. Well, now you don't have to look at the light and wonder when something major is going to break. Thanks for that. He turned toward her and smiled. It's my pleasure, really. And thanks for dinner, and I had a great time. Your family is a trip. Again, my pleasure. So, when do you think I might get to meet your family? Well, why would you want to meet my family? I'm curious to meet the people that made you who you are. Well, I'll see if I can make that happen sometime. Good. Well, I hate to say goodbye, but I have to be running on the beach at the butt crack of dawn. He got out of the car and made it to her side to open the door before she could, only because she was gathering her purse and phone. He helped her out and walked her to her car. So, are you still coming to watch me train tomorrow? Oh, I wouldn't miss it. I'm totally intrigued as to how Grandmaster Kino turns everyone he teaches into champions. Well, just a heads up, it's not pretty. You can't scare me off. Sounds like he's a tough coach. He's an inspired teacher. What time will you be there? I'm not sure. About 10, I'm guessing. She unlocked her door and then turned and leaned against it. He stood in front of her. His eyes traveled over her pretty face to her mouth, wandered farther down and then back up to her mouth. He wanted to kiss her. He wanted it badly. He knew, though, that it was way too soon. But he didn't know how much longer he could resist. He realized his breaths were coming fast and ordered himself to slow down, take a deep breath. He smiled. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time. I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, you will. His eyes lit up. What are you doing Saturday? Well, wait, don't answer that. It's never fair to ask that question. Let me just ask you this. Would you like to accompany me to watch JoJo play at USC? Wow. I would love to see a game in person. What time is the game? It's a 7:30 start time, but we'll get there earlier. It's a big home game against Utah. Game day is coming. I have to train for half a day, but then I can come pick you up. I could meet the fam, too. What do you say? She wrinkled her nose. Well, let me check with my mother to make sure she doesn't have plans for me to help her on Saturday. What time would you come to pick me up? Anytime between 3 and 5. Can I let you know tomorrow? Yes, of course. Well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for a great evening. He bent down and kissed her cheek before he could stop himself and then opened her door for her. She got in the car. He shut the door and she rolled down her window. Be safe, he said as she put the car in gear. You're very cute, Eric Kino III. She gunned the engine and took off. He grinned as she drove away. He was very much looking forward to seeing her again. New scene. It's September 12th. It's late Thursday night, the Tanner home, Pine Forest, Georgia. Hey, Tay, Gabe said sleepily as he rolled onto his back. I was hoping you'd call. I guess it's like midnight there, she said. Sorry it's so late. No worries. I always want to talk to you. Call me anytime. You know that, right? I know it for now, but I wonder how it will be when you're here training to be a jet and going to school. Well, I don't know. That's not until January anyway, and I guess we'll figure it out when the time comes. She sighed. I'm tired of telling you how much I miss you. I get it, baby. If all goes well with the doctor, I could be out there in about 2 weeks. That feels like forever. Well, if you focus on the present, it will go faster. By the way, let me just tell you one more time. You were awesome today. Thanks. So, did you decide if you're going to the football game tomorrow? Yes, I'm going, but I wish you were coming. Who are you going with? Agent Ward. Gabe chuckled. Hot date, huh? Well, actually, he is cute. Gabe snorted. He's like 8 years older than you. Yep. How much older than your mom is your dad? 7 years. What are you trying to say, Taylor? She giggled. I'm just teasing you. Really, though, my dad has to spar with Eric tomorrow afternoon and into the evening, and then he and my mom have an event they have to attend for some movie studio, so they can't go to the game. And young Eric is not going to be in any shape to go, plus, he's supposed to be in bed by 9. Yep, I remember that. Right. And my grandparents have the kids, and Jeffy doesn't feel like doing too much, and I can't go alone. So, Agent Ward is going to take me and look after me. Well, I'm sorry I can't be there, but you don't have to worry about recording the game. I found out that I can watch the game live on NAHSS site. NAHASS? What's that? It's the National Association of High School Sports. Not every school is in it, but Brookside is, and so is the team you're playing. And by the way, this is an important game. How do you know? Gabe chuckled. Well, I did a little research. Your team is 3-0, 1-0 in the conference. Bayside, the team you're playing, is in the same conference and is also 3-0 and 1-0 in the conference. All the other teams in the conference have at least one loss. Either Brookside or Bayside is going to join them. I'm not sure I understand. Gabe yawned. Well, I'm too sleepy to explain it right now. Fine, she said with a pout. He chuckled. What are you laughing at? But you're just so cute when you're mad. I'm not mad, but you go to all this trouble to research the game and the teams and stuff, and, well, it's not a big deal. It took me 2 minutes. I just clicked on the stats, that's all. It's always more interesting watching a game when you know the stats. So, did you enjoy your dinner? And wasn't it cool finding out what everyone is going to have? I mean, I'm going to have a kid brother. Taylor smiled. I bet you're stoked. I really am. I almost wish I didn't have to leave. I wish you could come here and live and we can help Mom take care of the twins and just be together. I'm tired of always having to leave people I love. But I know a man has to do what he's got to do to make a living and support his family. So I'll do whatever I have to do. Sorry, I'm half asleep and saying stuff off the top of my head, stuff I shouldn't say out loud. Gabe, I hope you know that you can say anything to me. I'll never judge you. Well, thanks, Tay. You are the best. So, anything else you want to tell me about? Well, I had a little meltdown after the game today. He became alert. Meltdown? I wasn't thinking, and I went into that bathroom, the one outside the gym, the one where they tried to get me, and I passed out. Oh, Taylor, who found you? What happened? Jordan was with me. You know, Eric's new friend? She caught me and called for help, and my dad and Eric came in and got me. I couldn't stop shaking, and it took me a while to get under control. Dad and Eric laid hands on me, and that helped. The weird thing is, I didn't know I'd be affected like that. It totally took me by surprise. Well, we need to talk to Grandmaster Keno and see if some exposure therapy might help. You know what that is? Yes. I could go with you into the restroom. We can walk around and talk about it. Eventually, the fears will subside. I could do that as long as you go with me. Okay, I will. We'll have a bathroom date once I get back out there. She giggled. A bathroom date it is. He yawned. We also need to FaceTime soon and work on our dance, 'cause that's in 2 weeks, right before I come back out there. Okay, let's get a practice in Saturday morning after volleyball practice. Then I have to go to JoJo's game. Oh, you're going? Yes. You don't usually. I know, but I started dating this really cute guy and he turned me on to team sports, and now I can't seem to get enough. He chuckled. I love you, Tay, he said as he yawned again. I love you too. Go to sleep. Good night. Night. New scene. It's September 13th, Friday morning, Kino Martial Arts Studio, Newport, California. Jordan's eyes were wide open and her mouth formed an O. What she had witnessed so far were truly feats of miracle strength and endurance. Currently, young Eric had moved from over the top strength training, including deadlifts and burpees and squats and push ups and pull ups and more, to some sick ab workout. He just finished his second set of 200 and lay flat on his back, breathing hard. Grandmaster Kino stood over him. Get up, Eric, right now, or go run 50 wind sprints. Yes, sir. Eric rolled to his stomach, pushed himself up to his knees, and finally stood. His breath was coming in huge gasps, and Jordan thought he might pass out or have a heart attack. Good effort, Grandmaster Kino said. Drink some lightning water, stretch out, and we'll work on kicks. Young Eric gave a slight bow and ran to grab a bottle of water. He came back with the water in one hand and a small towel in the other. He drank half the bottle of water, tossed it down, wiped his face on the towel, tossed it down, went to the center of the floor, and bent himself in half. He wore loose-fitting shorts and a faded USC t-shirt that was currently completely soaking wet with sweat. Jordan watched as he now stretched his body, arms and legs, to impossible rubbery poses, splits, back bends. Apparently, flexibility for this big, strong guy was not any kind of obstacle. Grandmaster Kino walked forward with a man by his side who was holding a kicking pad in his hand. Ready? Grandmaster Kino said to Eric. Yes, sir. Master Foreman, here will hold. Roundhouse, right leg, 20. Go. Eric's leg struck out and hit the pad so hard it sounded like a gunshot. Jordan actually jumped in her seat. He finished 20 and then did 20 with the left leg, and this went on with several other kicks, a side kick, a back kick, a hook kick, and more. Finally, Eric bent over, hands on knees, trying to catch his breath. Grandmaster Kino stepped forward and nodded. Master Foreman, put on your chest protector, please. The man bowed and stepped aside to put it on. Eric, Grandmaster Kino continued, we're going to work on combination kicks. He touched the side of his head. Listen. Double side kick into back kick, side kick into spinning hook, roundhouse into spinning back. In that order. Do you need me to repeat the sequence? Eric drew a deep breath. No, sir, I got it. Master Foreman, when you're ready. The man stepped forward. Young Eric began, and Jordan was mesmerized by the beautiful choreography. It was amazing. Perfection. So she was surprised that Grandmaster Kino gave a heavy critique of the execution. She also was amazed at the stamina young Eric was displaying. He was sweating buckets. He was breathing hard, but he refused to quit. Drink water, Eric, and come back. We're going to switch to kick-punch combos. Hello? Jordan turned to see Brianna Adams smiling and sitting down in the chair next to hers. Hi, Mrs. Kino. Are you enjoying yourself? Very much. These guys, they are amazing. Did you come to watch? She smiled her beautiful smile that the whole world craved. I brought lunch. And then the next part of the day is going to be fun because they're going to spar. And you're going to like it too because I hear you're a fan of my brother Joey. He's coming to spar? Yes, and Mark and Ricky. They're going to take turns beating up my son, but hey, it's all for a good cause. Jordan smiled. Poor Three. I hope he survives. Bree nodded. My husband would say that it's his survival at the challenge that is uppermost in their minds. She touched Jordan's shoulder. So, would you like to help me get the lunch laid out on the table? Jordan rose. Absolutely. Together they spread a tablecloth over a large folding table and then went out to Bree's car and brought in several deli sub sandwiches, bags of organic, all-natural banana chips and quinoa chips and tangerines and bananas and paper plates and napkins. And when they finished, Jordan turned just in time to see Eric drop to his knees and then to his hands and knees. He stayed like that for a minute and then stood quickly and rushed to the restroom. Is he okay? Jordan whispered to Bree. Yeah, bless his heart. He's probably go throw up his guts. It happens a lot in the first stages of training. It gets better as his stamina improves. That seems harsh. I used to think that. But if Eric, I mean the older one, can push him through to survive the harsh training, then there's probably nothing anyone can bring at the challenge that young Eric can't survive. Jordan nodded. You know, I thought I was in good shape from all the training and running we do for softball, but it's nothing compared to what's going on here. I might have to look into taking up martial arts. Bree smiled. Eric, I mean, young Eric, I'm sure would be happy to teach you. Young Eric came back and presented himself to his grandfather. Sorry, sir. Eric nodded. Put on a dry shirt and take an hour for lunch. Young Eric bowed. Yes, sir. He turned and went to his bag over next to the far wall and pulled out a dry shirt. Jordan watched him as he pulled the wet T-shirt off and almost gasped at the sight of him without a shirt on. She'd been able to tell that he had a good physique with his clothes on, but had no idea he was as ripped as he was. He quickly pulled the dry shirt over his head. This was an old, faded Kino martial arts T-shirt. Jordan sighed. Young Eric looked over at her and smiled and came to her. Hey, Jordan. Sorry I couldn't come speak to you earlier. Once I'm training, I don't dare give my attention to anything other than my grandfather until he dismisses me. I understand. So what do you think so far? I have to say, I am totally impressed. I think you are amazing. He smiled. Wow, I didn't expect that. Well, what did you expect? I guess some kind of sarcastic remark. She giggled. I tried to think of one, but you were too impressive. Your strength, your flexibility, your knowledge, even just your memory of doing a sequence as Grandmaster Kino called it out. I'm blown away. Young Eric blew out a breath. Well, don't want to burst your bubble, but I have a long way to go. But thanks for the ego boost. Are you going to eat? Yep, I just need a few more minutes to let my stomach settle. Young Eric went to thank his mother for lunch, and Jordan looked up to see Grandmaster Kino headed her way. She'd only spoken to him briefly 2 times, at the party last week and at the game last night. She admitted he was a little bit intimidating. Right now, though, he was smiling at her very kindly. Hello, Jordan, he said. Nice to see you again. She held her hand out to him, and he grasped it. Hello, sir. It's nice to see you, too. I hope my teaching methods haven't scared you away. Well, they are scary, she admitted with a smile, but I'm really intrigued and impressed. No wonder everyone you teach becomes champions. Eric nodded. I've been blessed. I just came by to tell you that you are welcome to come to any and all training sessions for young Eric. I've never seen him work so hard, and I think that may have something to do with you being here. Jordan laughed. Well, if he was trying to impress me, he succeeded. And thank you for the invitation. I just may take you up on that. Have you ever taken martial arts classes? I did, actually, way back when I was like 6 years old. Then my father got sick and life changed, but I've always been interested. I've watched the Kino challenges every year and the Mart every 2 years, and this year that mini Mart was really fun to watch. That Gabe Tanner, he's such a good guy. Eric nodded. That he is. He looked into her eyes. So, your father is sick? Oh, he passed away from lung cancer when I was 8. I'm sorry. Thank you. That was 11 years ago, but sometimes it feels like it just happened. I understand. Losing a loved one is the hardest thing we ever go through, though there are things that we can take comfort in, but this is not the time and place to discuss those things. Maybe one day we can sit and talk about it. That's very kind, sir. Thank you. She watched him move away toward the lunch table. He took a minute to bless the food and dug in, and young Eric motioned her to his side. This food is for you too. Eat with me. She conceded, and they filled their plates and sat down on the floor to eat lunch. And while they ate and chatted, other people started to arrive at the studio. Students who had been invited to learn from the sparring about to take place. Masters from other Kino martial arts locations. And then a big stir as Mark, Joey, and Ricky arrived. Jordan watched as a trio walked around shaking hands and chatting with other masters and students alike. She and 3 finished their lunch and leaned back against the wall to digest, and Eric closed his eyes briefly. Are you tired? He opened them. A little. I guess you don't get an afternoon nap break. He chuckled. Yeah, that's not on the agenda. I thought I might close my eyes, though, try to gather some strength. Will you do that? I'm going to go help your mom clean up the lunch mess. That's nice. Thanks. He immediately closed his eyes. Jordan smiled at him. He was just too cute. And that is the real end of chapter 6.